and welcome to my show, Number 9 Talk, with my guest Stephen. Just waiting on other people coming in. Oh, I seem to have Holly. Hello, Holly. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Also, big team chat. I don't know where he's in yet. He's still scranning on his massive pizza by the looks of it still. So looking back to the game over the weekend. A draw. It has been quite good, but we've got so many games to sort this out and stay safe. I think we're looking at. I think it's 15 points or 14 points in 13 games. Doable, but we'll see.
Cocky this, it's just me. Mic's on.
Right. Carry on what we were saying, and then we'll move on. I'll try and sort this out.
Well, it's better now. It's but yeah, that Wolves game, it was kind of like felt like 2 points dropped. I'm sure it felt like the same to the Newcastle fans. I mean, the chances we had in that first half, we should have really put them away and put Wolves to the sword and had that game sewn up by half time. I would have said. It's always like that in the end when you can dominate a game like we did against Wolves in that first half, and you don't take your chances, then you get punished. And we scored the one in the second half. We should have, but we lost Miggy and ASM. That was all our attacking impetus gone. Either had nobody to bring on to try and get pace up the field, get a second goal, or back, or just sit back on try and defend our lead, which obviously we couldn't. But I'd say it's a good point. But people are saying they wanted 3, but I think we just one does it, keeps us just above the relegation zone to me.
Yeah. There to you, Holly.
Before the game, I would have been more than happy with the point. Like, as long as we didn't get another defeat, anything that can help us stay up, I thought it would be good enough. Going out the game, though, we started playing the first really well. So I thought that's the reason why we should have got all 3 points. So I was disappointed in that, on that. But then, so obviously we lost St. Maximin and Almiron, so that made it a lot harder for us. I hope they're not out for a long time because we've already got so many injury problems. I thought that Shelby had a good game. Almiron was man of the match for me. Just it was a pretty good game. It was encouraging. Hopefully we can continue on with some decent form and pick up some more points in the next few weeks. I think we definitely need 3 points against West Brom if we want to stay up though.
Yeah, totally agree with you. On to you there.
Hello, first of all, sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical issue with my earphones, but I'm glad you can hear us now. Is that okay, yeah?
Yeah, can I hear
you? Yeah. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, as I just evaluated the game yesterday, started off really well. Really happy with the first half. I mean, we should have been 2-3 goals out of sight by half time, and then going in half time 0-0. You thought, well, the game's there for her. And then when Lascelles popped up for that header, I was absolutely over the moon. The first thing that came to me was all the Twitter haters of Lascelles. All Lascelles should be dropped, this, that, and the other. If Lascelles was dropped that game, nobody would have been there. That would have been us defeated. That's the way I see it. And then for the second goal, the Wolves goal, I just think everybody's criticising the defending, which I totally agree with. But at the same time, if you look at Hayden, the way he's marking, I don't know who he's marking, but nobody's once criticised Joe Willock. The way I say it, Joe Willock should have stayed with his runner, which was Neves, and he just sort of like jogged back, and Neves was 5 yards in front of him every time. And then everybody's criticising Isaac Hayden for one mistake in how many games? And it's just absolutely wrong. I mean, Joe Willock was at fault for that goal, not the defence, not Isaac Hayden. Joe Willock, because he didn't follow the runner. And then when you look at the games coming up, you've got West Brom, you've got Villa, you've got Brighton. I think we can easily get 9 points out of them. Given we've got a couple of injuries, I think we can easily try and attack them. We've got nothing to lose. We may as well just have a go and try and get 9 points out of them. But I think, Dom, you said it there. I think 14, 15 points will be enough. Given what fixtures we've got left, we can easily do that. I think it's easily doable.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Looking at it, I think we've got 13 points.
13 points.
And it's how many games have got? 14 points in 13 games. So it can be done. It can be sorted out. But we're going to struggle against the big teams. But we need to be picking up at least a point now. Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to look to get points in West Brom. Our next 3 games, Villa. We really go for it and try and get something out of those games. We've got nothing to lose, as Kev said. But we've got to do something. And ASM for the rest of for the remaining games, which is going to be a big blow. But we'll have to get Gil to be in the team just to try and fight us to kind of safety, you know what I mean? But we have to look at them games and try and get points out of them 3 games, I would say.
I'm just going to jump in. Sorry. I mean, obviously, I reckon we've got 14, 15 points. But now looking at the fixtures that we've got after Villa, West Brom, Brighton, we've got Spurs, we've got them Burnley, who we can win. I think we can beat them easily. The way they played the day, they deserve to go down. They just didn't put up any attacking threat at all. Spurs absolutely annihilated them. And I think I made that clear, Stephen, earlier on to you. Is that right? I know you mentioned it. And then obviously after Burnley, that's when it does start to get tricky, because you've got Liverpool, you've got Arsenal, Leicester, Man City. Them are consecutive games. I mean, that could make or break our season. But then you look at the last 2, Sheffield United and Fulham. Relegation could be confirmed by the Leicester game with 4 games to go, I think, given the other fixtures that the other teams have got. The likes of Fulham, they've got to play all the big 6 still. So I think our fate is in our hands, personally.
Yeah, completely agree with that, Kev. On to you there, Holly. You look at our fixtures. And also the fact that the running that Fulham have got until the end of the season. Are we safe or are we worried?
Personally, I'm worried. I think that we've got easier fixtures on Fulham have. But I really do think Fulham have more, like, their mentality is more upfront than us, because I feel like our squads they don't think they care as much as Fulham. I think Fulham want to feel more than we do, which shouldn't be the case. If Fulham were to go down, it wouldn't be a surprise, because they are really up. But if we went down, it would be just horrendous, because there's no way for me that would come back up. I'm just praying that the pressure isn't too much of the next 2 games, because like we have to win them. If we don't, then we are down. And I just hope that doesn't get them too much, and we can pick up as many points as possible. For me, I still think we will go down, but I'm hoping that we'll go through.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it's spot on there. Honestly, Holly, spot on. Looking at our injuries on the day, it's a problem. What we seem to be having feedback here. Are we there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay. Looking at the times. Sorry to you there, Holly. We've had St. Max and everyone else who got injured in that match. Out, you've got Wilson out, you've got everyone else out.
I honestly can hardly hear anything. It's just like
noisy. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can now, yeah.
Yeah. I think Kev's got some problems there. Sorry. But
it's okay.
I'll come to you there. We've had some problems with injuries, and Bruce has had problems during his tenure as a manager with injuries as well. That's documented. But we've got St. Max out at the moment. We don't know what's going on with him. You got Miggy out. The list goes on, and this can play a massive part in our survival. I don't know what you think or how you would say we can get out of this now.
For me, it's not about the ability of the squad, because I think the squad does have the ability to stay up. It's just the mentality that's wrong for me. And that starts with Bruce, because he's constantly telling the players that there's no need to panic and we'll be okay. And he said that message to the fans, but it's not realistic or true, because we all know that if we don't sort something out soon, it's not going to be like that and we will go down. So Bruce needs to start being more realistic and saying to the players, you need to put in 100% effort if you want to have any chance of staying in the Premier League, instead of just saying, oh, it'll be okay, because you would trust in your boss and you would believe what he's saying is right when it's not right. So it's just, they need to just get into their head that we are in a relegation battle, and they need to really pull their fingers out now and just do anything possible to stay up. But also we need to try and adapt as well as we can, because we have got so many injuries, which is causing a massive problem for us, because we can't put out our best side at the moment. So hopefully the other players can step up. Striker's the main worry for me, because with Callum Wilson in, I think we would have stayed up. Not by much, but I think we would have had enough to. But now that Wilson's out and you're relying on Dwight, Gale, Carroll and Joe Linton, that just doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence for me. I was really happy to see Martin Dubravka come back into the side, because I think he's our best keeper and you always want to play your most strongest players. I know that Darlow did well, but I definitely want to see Dubravka come back in. He did get a lot of criticism for that equalising goal against Fulham, but I think it was a bit harsh. The defence should have done better. He did get a glove on it. I don't think he had an absolute shocker. I think people's just being a bit harsh on him, and I think Darlow would have made a mistake in that game too. We could have easily been beat if it wasn't for Dubravka, and I'd certainly stick with him. I know Bruce even criticised him, but I would keep him in for the next game.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, looking at Darlow at the minute, has he been hard done by? Is he, we brought in back in our number one keeper, but he did make a mistake there for the equaliser. He could have easily have saved that goal. But what would you say there, Stephen?
It's probably been the best idea to take him out the firing line. I mean, with conceding 2 goals against Manchester United, was it at his near post, conceding 2 goals at his near post? It's like kind of a cardinal sin. You don't do that as a goalkeeper. You always look to cover your near post when a shot comes in. But I think he's been shaky for a few weeks now. His distribution, he's got no distribution, and he can't really come and claim balls as he just flaps, or he just tries to punch and he either tries to come for it or gets nowhere near it, and it doesn't exactly help the defence when you see a goalkeeper like that. But with Dubravka being back in the team, he would bring that sense of calmness that he can, with his distribution and his claiming, it takes instant pressure off the defence, especially if you're under pressure. He takes that away instantly. That's the kind of keeper he is, and that's why he's our number one. That's why he should stay number one for the rest of the season, and hopefully we can stay up and keep all of them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Could he be gone shortly, Kev? Unfortunately, if he's left out for so long, a lot of players be going, well, I want to go. I want to be playing full-time football. And unfortunately, we've got two good keepers in Darlow and Dubravka, and we've also got another one that's itching to come back in Woodman. And, he's won so many accolades at the moment. It's unbelievable why he's not been given his chance. So, to you, Kev, what's your thoughts on the keepers?
I think Holly hit the nail on the head before about Dubravka. I don't think he made many mistakes. I don't think he was to blame for the goal personally either. That was just my personal opinion. But at the same time as well, when you look at both Dubravka and Darlow, the season that Darlow's had and the reputation that Dubravka's got, if we get relegated, I can guarantee them two will be away. They'll not hang around, and then we could be stuck with Woodman, and that would be our own fault because of the way that we're currently playing at the moment. Darlow's had a great season filling in for Dubravka. He's made one or two mistakes here and there. He's been patient, though. He's waited for his turn, and now he's had his turn in goal. And then, like I say, the mistakes, it is time for him to maybe take a back seat and let Dubravka have another go. But at the same time, if Dubravka has a couple of shockers in the next few games, who's to say that Darlow won't come back in? And then that could just be everyone that was criticising get Darlow in. It'll be the complete opposite. Get Darlow out, get Dubravka out and get Darlow back in. It's just a merry-go-round. It's ridiculous. But it's not our fault. We've got two quality keepers. We should cherish that and then not heap criticism on them, but to try and keep them on side. And then if we do go down, they'll know that we are the sort of team that can give it a good shot in the championship and come straight back up. But this is not me saying I want me to get relegated, because I don't. I just think that Darlow and Dubravka are both as good as each other, and they don't deserve the criticism that they're getting. It's the 10 players in front of them, not the actual goalkeepers. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, just touching on there what you just said there, Kev. It's your goalkeeper's only as good as your defence, unfortunately. Looking ahead, we've got Lascelles still struggling, maybe, and also Kraft out. You've got Manquillo out. What sort of defence can we put out there, Stephen?
Jacob Murphy can play right wing back. He's done that for a few games this season for Newcastle, and I reckon he could slot in there quite easily. As you know, he'd at least get a bit pace in the right back position. Is Crafted enough or anything like that? It's I would put Jacob Murphy in, and obviously keep Lascelles in. With I know Fernandez might be back, but that might be harsh on Clark. But either Clark or Fernandez in, I would still persevere with Jamal Lewis. I know he's probably at fault for the performance, but he's, like I say, he's only a young lad and he's going to get better. I mean, I'll have all the time in the world for him. I mean, like he's a player that's just developing. He's developing his game, and he just needs a quality manager to help him achieve his goal, because he can be a top quality player. You can say that. That's why we signed him. Just the potential in him to be like an attacking left back is what we need. And let's see how he goes.
I completely agree. It's a problem within the club. Is it a problem also with Bruce? Is it a problem with just the club itself? It's a merry-go-round. We've not actually had the best of luck with injuries over the last few years. I mean, you look at when Rafa Benitez was in charge. He changed a lot of things within the training ground and changed a lot of where this team was playing and where this team was training. I think, as far as I know, he was given the run of the training ground that the under-23s train on, and they were given our training ground. Now, if you look at between the two, the under-23s became became injured a lot during that time, and we were actually not as much with the injuries. So maybe that change from our training point of view was better. Over to you there, Holly. What can you say? Why are we getting this many injuries? Why is Bruce getting this many injuries? Is there a background reason why we're getting all this?
For me, it comes down to what he's doing in training. But when you think about it, our injury record under Rafa Benitez was particularly good because prior to Rafa Benitez coming in, we had a lot of injury problems in various seasons before that. So I think obviously from going to Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce, that has made us kind of think it's worse than it is. But undoubtedly, even like last season and this season, we've had some horrendous injuries and long-term ones as well. I think that is partly because of the training, because in my opinion, obviously I don't know what's happening on the training pitch, but it seems to me that the training isn't good enough, because we've heard from the likes of Jack Grealish when Steve Bruce was at Villa that his training was just appalling and he trained them like under nines. But then also, he's been better at this recently. Obviously, when he was bringing St. Maximin back in, he eased him back into the squad. But before that, he was rushing players in far too fast after a long-term injury. So that's obviously you're going to have injury problems. If a player's not fully fit and you play them anyway, then you're just asking for it, really. Like, what else can you expect?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Holly. And over to you there, Kev. It's always been a problem with in injuries, and if you look back on our last 10 years, we've had massive injuries, and you can also go back to the fact that Alan Shearer himself spent 6 months out of a season every now and again, if not a whole year out, and it's become a problem with our club. And what can be changed to stop these? Alan Shearer, I mean, you look at the guy, he scored 260 goals in the league. He scored, he played so many games, but it's hard to say. You've got players like we just said, Alan Shearer scoring that many goals, but still being injured. What can be changed within the structure of the club? Do we need to upgrade the training facilities? Do we need to upgrade bits and bobs? Because Mike Ashley's not. Let's not kid ourselves. Mike Ashley is not spending a lot of time and money on the club, because he's also said in media this week he's not interested. All he's interested in is getting this takeover done, and he gets his 350 million. Kev, go on.
Just off what you said there, I mean, if Mike Ashley's not interested, why did he buy the club in the first place? Was it just because he could dot his Sports Direct signs all over the place? Is that what it is? Yeah. But the training facilities need a massive upgrade. When you look at the ones that Leicester and Tottenham have got compared to ours, I mean, it's just no comparison. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then injuries into players. I do think some of them have been rushed back, because when you look at Lascelles, he was sort of rushed back. Then he had to go off at half time because he just wasn't feeling the game, and that was a couple of games ago. Then Alan Saint-Maximin pulled up yesterday. He's just been through a horrendous time with COVID-19, and that just does not help. Everyone's saying, why don't you play Saint-Maximin? Why are you bringing him off, this, that, and the other? Because these sort of things happen, and rightly so. It happened last night. He was injured, and it was just inevitable it was going to happen, because he's been rushed back personally. Fernandez, I don't know, will he be fit for the next game? I hope so, but at the same time, where do you put him in the team? Do you go back to a back five with Lewis and Murphy on the other side, with Lascelles, Clark and Fernandez in the middle? Obviously Almiron's going to be missing, so there's going to be a position open there. And then you've got Alan Sam Maximum, who probably won't play either. So he's going to have to shuffle the formation. And then at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to a back five, because he hasn't got the attacking options in front of him now.
Yeah. What I'm going to do now is shout out to my sponsors, nufc Hotspot, makers of pin badges and also memorabilia, posters. If you want to go on there, if you give my name or in my channel, they might give you some discount. Also, unfortunately, they're the new ones, so they're down here somewhere. footytowels.co.uk. Now, if you go into their website, you can buy footy towels, and also if you put my channel name in their discount place, we can get that, which is, I think, is absolutely awesome. And also it comes in its nice little fluffy bag as well. I think that's brilliant. Please, if anyone wants to jump on, give my channel name 10% off, and you'll get your products at a bit cheaper. Going on to also the loss of this fella here, 65, a massive loss to football. Did well for Newcastle and other clubs also. My thoughts go out to their friends, family, and going through this difficult time. Also with COVID, so it's going to be difficult. So thanks very much, and I'll come on to also with nufc Hotspots there, St. Maximin.
Tom, this has turned into a bit of a shopping channel now.
No, it is like.
Yeah. So give them a look. Also with the war flags, stop gambling with our club.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say any less than that, can you, Stephen?
No, you cannot. Says it all, doesn't it? I mean, the accolades seal your fate, and stop gambling with our club has been brilliant flags from war flags, just trying to do something just to provoke the on, like Mike Ashley, just to sack him, to get rid. I mean, 2 wins in 17 games. It just doesn't. It's any other manager would have gone by now. Another manager would have been in and tried to implement his way. But he's persevered with them all this time, and look where we are. 3 points, sorry, head of relegation with a far worse goal than what Fulham have. He's taken a really big risk by not getting shot. I mean, I'm not. If he was just sack him and put Graham Jones in charge to the end of the season, I wouldn't mind that. I would think he would do a good job and get us safe, and then look at getting a new manager in the summer. But up to now, we go nowhere with Bruce. He said his remit for Newcastle to finish 17th. So how's that some sort of ambition to adhere to when he's blaming players as well for performances? That's something you just don't do. The man's a clown and needs to leave the club immediately. Mike. Your mic's on, Dom.
Yeah, sorry, peeps, but bringing up this fella here, he's been a big loss for us in the last 2 games. You look at him, he scored 10 goals, laid on another 5. He has been a big loss, and I don't see anyone who is going to take up that mantle, to be honest with you. And on to you there, Holly.
Undoubtedly, Callum Wilson's been one of the best signings we've had for years. I think he's just, especially for the price, I think it was a steal for that price. If it wasn't for him, I think we would have been in the relegation zone all season. And if he was still fit now, I think we would have been able to stay up. But now I don't think that we will. It's just crazy to think how much one player can change a team. And it's worrying that we have that much responsibility put on one player. Like, could you imagine if that was you and you've literally, basically, your team's relying on you to stay up? It's just like, I don't know how he's done it. So hats off to him. He's a really good professional. But this is what I wish we brought in the January window, number 2 striker, because our options, Dwight Gale, who for me is okay, but he's better suited to the Championship, and I don't think he can do it at this level. Andy Carroll can't stay fit, and he certainly can't play a full 90 minutes. And then Joe Linton, well, he's not even a proper striker, so there's literally no one there. I'd honestly rather probably give one of the youngsters a go at this point, because they can't really do any worse, to be honest. Like, it's just so worrying that we relied that much on Callum Wilson, and if we do go down, which we could, Callum Wilson probably won't stay, because when Bournemouth went down, he left, so he'll probably leave again. And then it's just, we're back to square one, trying to look for a striker yet again. It's been a problem for years now. And when we signed Joe Linton, I would much rather have signed, obviously, Rondon, who we had the season before, because he was like less than half the price and a way better player. I would rather have brought in a couple of decent strikers so I had an option than spend the 40 million on Joe Linton, which has just been a total waste of money.
Yeah, on to you there, Kev. This man here, is he a pretender, or is he worth the money, or could he be worth the money? He's, there's a player in there, we all know there is, but unfortunately, under this hierarchy and this management, he's never going to get anywhere, is he?
How do you want to say it? So someone put out on Twitter this morning that he was absolutely a shambles yesterday, and how he didn't score, we don't know. And I just thought that was totally unfair, because it wasn't his fault he didn't score. He took the shot and it got blocked on the line. Now, where do you blame Joe Linton in that? I'd love to know that. And I just couldn't resist myself. I had to have a reply to this person on Twitter. I'm not going to name them just in case they're watching, but they know who they are. And I just think, like, yes, there is a striker in there, but at the same time, the pressure on his head, the number 9 shirt that he's got on his back, it's not his fault. He was the one that was bought for 40 million. We were the daft ones that went out and spent 40 million on a striker. It was Hoffenheim that accepted it. Joe Linton had nothing to do with it. He was the player that got the value. Where they got the value from, I'd love to know. But when you look at his goal scoring record for Hoffenheim and Rapid Vienna, it's not 40 million pounds worth. I mean, we went through this the other night, and I just think the pressure that's on his shoulders at the minute is just unfair, because everyone's saying that he's this, he's that, he's the other. It's just not. We all know that he can score when he wants to. He was unlucky twice yesterday, in my opinion, but he was one of our better players as well. So he saw confidence is growing a bit. You can see that he wants to score, he wants to please all the fans, but the chances just aren't coming from him. And when the chances are there, he's unlucky not to score. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he can be the next Alan Shearer, because he won't. Nobody will. But I just think personally, Joe Linton's been unfairly criticised sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I can agree with that. Sometimes I can't. It needs some sort of proper coaching in there, and maybe Rafa could have done better. We don't know. But then Rafa didn't want him as a player. Rafa made it very clear he didn't want him as a player. Coming on,
but Dom, sorry, Dom, can I just jump in there just before you go on?
Yeah.
Do you think you play? Obviously, Steve Bruce mentioned that he would play better with someone else up top with him. Do you agree with that? Do you think you would be better with a strike partner next to him?
Yeah, you look at, I can't remember the game, but he was up top with Callum Wilson, and the two of them seemed to play very well. But at the same time, could they do that every game? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But just answer your question there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You've also got strength in numbers, and you've said trust. Join the trust. I think it's only £1 or £2. They've always done me very well, and also be a game changer about mental health. We were all in a rut at the moment. It's possibly the reason why we all do these shows, unfortunately, but it's a factor. during lockdowns and during COVID. So please reach out. I'm sure all four of us here could say, reach out to us. You know, if you need to talk, you need to speak, please get in touch and be respectful and all. What I would say. Going on to the midfield at the moment, you know, we've lost Miggy. We've also lost possibly, you know, all across the board. Midfield, to me, Holly, has always been a problem in our squad. You've got Shelby there who just plods about, and also Hayden who tries to break up everything, but I always find he's always working that losing battle, unfortunately. But he is a good player. And do the Longstaffs need their shot now?
For me, yes, I think they should have had a chance a lot earlier on, because the midfield is where we're weakest for me. I think it's been a problem all season, and we've had injury problems in that area, and Jeff Hendrick's been playing there constantly, who's been horrendous, and I think most of us would agree with that. And yet they're still leaving Sean and Matty out of the squad most of the time. A lot of the times they aren't even on the bench, and when they're on the bench, they don't even get a run out for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's so unfair on them. I think both of them will leave if it continues like this, because obviously Matty's contract ends at the end of the season. And it was shocking of Bruce to convince him to sign a new contract when he must have known he had no intention of playing him. So he's just wasted his time, really. And as a young player, he'll want as much game time as possible. Even if we'd like signed him and then let him go out on loan, that would have been a lot better for his progression in his career. And then Sean, I don't think he's particularly been as good as he had been in the past, but I was like a big fan of his when he first broke into the team, and then he got that injury at the end of the 18-19 season, and obviously he wasn't as good then. But you can't judge him too much because he hasn't had a fair chance, and we need to just give them a go, because realistically the likes of Shelby and Hendrick aren't going to do a better job, so why not? We may as well make the best of our young talent. And it comes to something when we brought in an Arsenal youngster, Willock, who I do think is good and I think he'll do well for us, but we're literally prioritising other Premier League's youth over ours, so I think that says a lot about what Steve Bruce's priorities are.
Yeah. See you there, Kev?
Yeah, Holly hit the nail on the head there. I totally agree with that. I mean, I personally think both the Longstaffs will be away at the end of the season, and then you look at Joe Willock, who will probably be our only attacking threat in the starting 11 now going forward in the next couple of games. The pressure on his head now, it'll just be humongous. I mean, we're in a relegation scrap and we're relying on an Arsenal youngster for the attacking threat that we need, basically. Yeah, I mean, the Longstaffs, yeah, Matty will be away. I'm convinced of it, because unless he does a Stevie Harper and just sits there and earns his money, which I don't think he will. I think he's an ambitious youngster who wants to play football, along with Sean Longstaff. But when you look at Sean Longstaff, he's had a couple of good games. He's had a couple of bad games. He's inconsistent. I mean, he hasn't played enough, personally, for me to have an opinion. He's played, 20 games, if that? I don't really know how many games. I'm just going out on a limb here. But personally, I would like to see more of him in place of Hendrick, because I think Hendrick was just a panic buy in the summer. He had one good season at the start of the season, one good game, which was West Ham. And then from then on, he disappears in games. I mean, me and Stephen have spoke any amounts of times about Jeff Hendrick. I mean, I don't want to start off another rant here, but he's just a waste of a shirt, basically. That's personally what I feel of him. And then you look at Hayden. Hayden's having an absolutely amazing season. Fair enough, he made one little tiny mistake last night. I'm not going to criticise him for that. Shelby, I don't really know what to say about Shelby, because he's up and down. He can have a good game and he can have a bad game as well. He's had a few bad games recently, and rightly so. The flack is on his head at the minute. The podcast that came out the other day saying he doesn't like to pass side to side. He doesn't like to go backwards. He likes to go forwards. I mean, show that in games. That's all we ask for. Try and attack, have shots. Don't dilly-dally around in the centre of the park, because that's not going to win you games. And then when you look at the rest of the midfield, I mean, you've got Murphy, who's technically a winger, but now he's playing wing back. I mean, that just doesn't make sense for me. He's more of an attacking player, not a defender. Richie, again, the same player as Murphy. He's a sort of winger. He's not like a defensive. I mean, he might go defensive now with him getting on in age a bit. But again, he's more attacking. So I think we've got the players there. It's just getting them to play to their potential and giving the youngsters a go. We've got nothing to lose. We've got, 14 games left. Get the youngsters in, give them a go. See if they can do any better than what's currently on the pitch at the minute.
Yeah. Over to you there, Stephen. Same question.
Yeah, I mean, echo everything what Kev said. I mean, you would have to look at some point trying to give the youngsters like Ellie Danson a chance. I mean, the youngsters we've got at the club, like you said, just go for it. Put them in the team, see how far they can do it. Even at Rodrigo Vilke, we signed him. He's supposed to be a up-and-coming talent. Just get him in the team. What's it to lose? I mean, to complement our others, like with Joe Willock on loan from Arsenal, Isaac Hayden, Shelby, we'd have a lot more options in there if you'd blood some of the youngsters, which is something Newcastle don't do enough of, even with the Longstaffs. Matty Longstaff signed that new contract, he's already played. So I don't know what kind of assurances he was given on that contract to say for him to sign that new deal. He was being told he's going to play a lot of games for Newcastle this season. He even got the number 4 shirt in the squad. You think he's going to play a lot more games than he has done. I just think that's all down to Bruce again. Why not let Matty Longstaff play? He's a much better player than what Shelby is. He's like attacking, he can go forward. He's got a bit about his play. So what's it to lose? I mean, we're in a dire situation as it is. Bring these sort of players in and let them say what they can do. Alex Anderson's a promising youngster. He's saying with his cameo against Arsenal in the FA Cup, he did well when he came on. Just give him a chance. That's all we ask, is give him a chance. We've got this injury crisis with our 3 best players, essentially, with Wilson, ASM and Almiron. Bring some of them through, let them play the games, let them experience the match day experience, and get them in a team and get them to score some goals.
Yeah, I really agree. I mean, you come on to Mr. Steve Bruce. Does it deserve the sack right now, or is this man the real problem? Is the big debate within the fan base? Come to you there, Holly.
Mike Ashley, until this season, I think most of the blame, 99% of the blame, should lie at his door. But I don't criticise Mike Ashley as much anymore because he's trying to sell the club. He doesn't want it anymore. And it's the Premier League that's stopping him from selling it. So really, it's the Premier League that's to blame, because if he'd have got rid of the club when he wanted to last summer, we wouldn't be in any of these problems. We wouldn't even have Bruce here to sit and complain about, because we wouldn't be sitting in 17th with Bruce. We would be doing better things by now. So you can't really blame it all on Mike Ashley, because, like you say, you can't expect a lot from the guy, like putting investment in and stuff when he doesn't want it, because why would you spend your money on something that you're not interested in anymore? But if he does want to protect his investment, then he's going to have to do something and sort out the situation, because if we do go down and then stay in the Championship, he's not going to get his 350 million that he wants. He won't even get half of that, probably. He'll be very lucky, because we're just in such a mess, and it would take a strong person to come and take this club on, I think. But Bruce, of course, he has to have some blame because he's being disgraceful. I think he did okay in his first season. People were going on like he did amazing, which I disagree with. I think he did an okay job. He did what was expected. But now that he's had quite a bit of money spent on players, he should definitely be way higher up in the league. He should be between 9th and 12th for me, easily. We shouldn't have any relegation worries. I mean, he's got a net spend of 100 and something million. I don't know exactly. And then Rafa Benitez, in his 3 years here, had -2 million as his net spend. And yet we came from the Championship, finished 10th and then 13th. And the difference between him and the previous manager was we sat in the bottom 3 at some points in that 18-19 season, and not once was I worried about going down, because I had faith in him that he would help guide us back out of our problems and make us safe. But with Bruce, you don't have that. And the way Mike Ashley's head works is scary, because for him, I think he'll be like, oh, well, we'll stick with Bruce because he's a good championship manager and he can get us back up. But he won't. He'll just have us sitting around mid-table, top half, and just let this club just rot, basically. And it's just worrying to think of that, but I can't see him going anywhere. I don't think Mike Ashley will sack him. If he is to leave, I think it'll be of his own accord, because the pressure will get to him eventually if the fans come back.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I mean, talking to you there, Holly, you mentioned Steve Bruce having his Barney with Jones. To you there, Stephen, do we take that as face value, or do we take that as, you know, it's kind of been put out there in the wrong context? What would be your thoughts?
I think you can clearly see him. He's mouthed the word, like, I won't mouth, but he did swear.
You can do, it's fine.
He did say fuck off to him. He did say, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
And I think John just shrugged it off. I don't think it's anything aimed towards him. I don't think, because what I've seen it a few times on Twitter where it's being played. People have uploaded it, and he said it. And I don't think it's anything aimed towards him. I just think it's aimed towards the performance of the team or something like that. I can't. People's trying to make it out it's aimed towards Jones, but there's nothing in that video to say he's having a go at Jones in that. I mean, I hate Bruce, but I can't. It's not. I don't think it's him actually shouting at him. He's probably just frustrated with the performance or something like that. That's all I can really put it down to. Like you say, and Jones is frustrated as well with the facial expression he makes on it. It's people just trying to make something big out of it, and it's actually not.
Yeah. On to you there, Kev.
Yeah, just going off what Stephen just said there. I mean, you can read into it what you like. Nobody knows the full story. There's no point in saying this has happened, that has happened. Nobody knows what's happened. For all we know, Graham Jones might have said something in relation to the team, and then Steve Bruce has actually realised that it's not what he wanted to happen, or something like along those lines, like, oh, for God's sake, things like that. He might have said something to Steve Bruce like, what the hell are you doing? And then Steve Bruce might have reacted to it. Nobody knows what's happened. So it's all just hearsay at the minute. And then just off what Holly just said there about Steve Bruce and then going down into championships and stuff like that. If you look at the championship these days, it's an absolute dogfight to try and get out of that championship. Everybody is trying. You look at how many times the top six changes positions. It's unbelievable. So for us to say that we're going to try and bounce straight back, I think the team that we've got, you look at the players that might leave. You've got Almiron, you've got ASM, you've got the both goalkeepers that I mentioned before, and hell, even Lascelles might leave as well. Where's that going to leave? We're a championship team who's struggling to get a takeover over the line. We'll sit in mid-table, and then we might flirt with the playoffs every now and again. But like I say, it's going to be one hell of a challenge trying to get out that championship the way things are going at the minute. I mean, look at Sunderland; they're down in League One. They're struggling as well, because we all know that competitiveness has picked up over the last 5 seasons. Everybody wants to be in the Premier League, and I think it'll be a tough ask personally for Newcastle.
Yeah, going on to you there, Holly. Like Kev just said, it's going to be difficult to get out of that championship if we do go down. There's so many good teams in there. There's so many good teams around pushing. But at the same time, we've got problems with COVID and the problems with not having fans in the grounds. Once we get into that championship place, that could all change very quickly. And what would be your thoughts?
The fans could definitely make a difference, because undoubtedly the Newcastle fans make a massive impact on how the game goes, especially if it's like the last 5 minutes and we'll have a chance to score a late-minute win or something. The fans are always 100% behind the team, so it can help. But no matter what, if we go down, like Kev said, I don't see us coming back up, because it's so competitive now, and we've been lucky to do it the past 2 times. And we obviously had Chris Hughton and then Rafa Benitez, who are both margins above Steve Bruce for me anyway. And it's just, I think we'll be stuck with Steve Bruce, or we'll get in some other low-class rubbish manager who hasn't got a clue. And if we're still with Ashley, I could see us never coming out of the championship. I know that sounds like really dramatic and stuff, but unless we've got a new takeover, I just think that's where we're at now, because he'll be past caring. He wants rid of the club, he can't get rid of it, and he'll just think, what's the point anymore? It's a worrying time to be a Newcastle fan, because it can go one way or the other. We can either get the club sold at the end of the season, bring in a new manager, sign new players, and go on to do better things next season, or we'll go down and just completely regress. It's in the players, that's the thing. We've got a lot of players out of contract at the end of the season who won't sign a new contract. So we'll be left with like half a squad, and then we'll lose all of the best ones like St. Maximin, Dubravka, Darlow, Almiron, Wilson. I think all of them will be gone, because why would they want to play for Newcastle? We're in an absolute mess. People say that it's easier to get a takeover in the championship, which yes, could be true, but then also Mike Ashley could be that desperate to get rid of it that he'll sell it to anyone. And I know it might seem hard to imagine, but there will be someone out there that's worse than Mike Ashley, who is like a con man and will just literally bleed the club dry till it's worth nothing. So we've got to be so careful. I just hope that Mike Ashley sees the bigger picture and just thinks that he needs to protect his investment now, and he'll put the money in, because it's terrifying to think of what the future could be for us.
Yeah, it is terrifying. I do agree with that, Holly. I look and I despair if we go down to Australia. But going to you there, Stephen. Amanda Staveley has lost a battle against Barclays. Now, you know, it could be big news, it could be just nothing, but unfortunately, she's a big player in our takeover. And what would you see that as being?
Well, I know, yes, she lost the court case. I mean, I think it was always very unlikely she would win it anyways. It was always very dicey she was going to win it. She provided all this evidence to say this, that, and the other, but she even got an apology off Barkis to say with some comments that was said, but I don't think it has any bearing at all on the takeover. I mean, it's got nothing really to do with it. I mean, she's involved in it, yeah, but not her wealth won't be in it. It's all like PIF's wealth that'll be funding it. So I think she'll feel disappointed she hasn't won the case, because it was for about £820 million. She could have afforded to bought the club herself with that. And but it's just sad times. I mean, nothing seems to go right for Newcastle at the moment. It's all very bad.
Yeah, to completely agree there. Just to say hi to John Sinclair from his channel. How are you, mate?
Hiya, how are you doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah, we're okay, mate. We're okay. Just going on the back of what Stephen just said there, John. Amanda Staveley lost her court case against Barclays. Now, could that have gone a long way to actually her putting in some cash and possibly pushing Mike Ashley to sell to her?
Well, I learned this a couple of days ago that she lost the court case and stuff like that. But I don't think it's have any impact on the takeover, if I'm honest with you, sort of thing. But how do I put it? If she wants to buy the club, I mean, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely amazing. But I want the club to be sold, and she's still interested in buying the club anyway. I don't think there's any impact on it, but I just hope that the takeover is still on.
Yeah. Over to you there, Holly. I mean, it's been big news at the moment. You know, Amanda Staveley has lost her court case. What would be your take on the whole thing? I mean, Could she have priced Newcastle United away with that type of money that she was asking? I think she was only asking something like 800 million from a £3 billion deal. So could that play a factor, or do you think it's just here saying we're still going to go on with this?
I don't think Amanda Staveley would have taken over the club on her own. I think that's not something she'd want to do. I think she definitely wants to be part of a consortium with using another party's money, and she's kind of just like the voice of the club. But I would like to see her and the Rubens take over if PIF weren't interested anymore. But until really recently, I was still confident that maybe something could happen with this deal. But each day goes by and I grow less and less confident, to be honest. And I think the way the club is acting at the minute makes us less confident, because if Ashley realistically thought that we're going to get taken over, he'd be trying to stop us going down, because he knows that the Saudis wouldn't want a championship club, but he's not doing anything to stop it happening. So for me, I think he knows that it's probably not going to happen. And I think the stuff with like arbitration and going to court, I think it will go to court and it'll go on for years. I think it'll take years and years to sort out, and we may never get an answer, or if we do get an answer, it could be like 5 years' time, and then it's irrelevant by that point. No one cares anymore. So hopefully someone else can come along that isn't as controversial, if you want to say that, and let the Premier League feel more comfortable with taking over, because it would be lovely to have the Saudi money and go on to challenge in the top half of the league and progress on all this amazing stuff and be the richest club in the world. But I'd be happy for Newcastle just to get an owner that has any type of ambition and has the best interests of the club, because that's all we can ask, really. I don't think any of us expect to go on to win the league and stuff. Of course, it would be amazing, but just anyone that's trying to bring us forward, and like Ashley, would be enough for me.
Yeah, coming on to you there, Kev. Amanda Staveley has been a big player in this takeover. We seem like we're going to arbitration now. What I've heard is within the next week. What can we expect from this? I mean, we've heard from the QC on the deal, and he seems pretty chipper about it all. But he's also said he won't actually push anyone to the brink of doing legals. He thinks that this can be sorted, behind closed doors or behind, the iron curtain, as it were. So on to you there, Kev.
I don't really know personally what's been happening with Amanda Staveley and this deal. I know she lost the deal, and from what everyone's just been saying there, I mean, she only asked 800 million out of 3.2 billion or whatever it was. But just mentioning just what Holly's just said there, I'm going to echo her words. I would happily have anyone just take over the club. Just basically give us something to look forward to, give us a bit of a lift, because there's so much negativity running around our club at the moment. It's just absolutely crazy. We need someone with a bit of ambition. If he's got a bit of money, he or she, happy days. But that's not what we want. We just want a ambition. That's all we want. We want to try and win something. We want to be up there with the top six. I mean, you look at Leicester. They won the league a few years ago, and nobody could believe what they were doing. I want us to be like Leicester. I want us to be the underdogs, and then just to come and win the league with just that little bit of backing from an owner that's ambitious. I mean, I'd happily have someone like Ryan Reynolds, who just bloody bought Wrexham for all the clubs. I'd happily have someone like him. He's got ambition. Obviously, he's paid all the furlough wages and this, that, and the other. I mean, that is what you want in an owner. Someone coming in, paying money, putting money into the club. That's basically all I want.
Yeah, completely agree there. Over to you there, John. It's been a difficult time. You've got PIF in conversation with beIN Sports, and also in conversation with the hierarchy with Qatar. Put my teeth back in, but it's a difficult situation, and it's something that could take a while. Arbitration, could it sort it out, or could it be just this is it? This is the end.
Yeah, for me, I still think the takeover is going to happen anyway. I really do think that, but I have to agree with Holly. It could take years and years and years to go to court. And all we want now, we just want this sorted out. It's gone for far too long now, because what happens is we want answers now. It's just going to go on and on. Is it going to be a takeover, or is it not going to be a takeover? We need to know this. And I have to agree with Big Kev as well at some stage. Just get anyone in if it just comes to it. We need a bit of hope now. We had 14 years of Mike Ashley, yeah, and fans are just sick of it. We just need someone going to come in, buy the club, and just give our fans hope and just start again. But go back to PIF. I'd love to have PCP taken over. I'd love to see that happening, but it probably take years or whatever it could be. So we just see what happens. But I agree with Kev there, sort of thing. He's right. This car can never go anywhere under Ashley. I promise you that. He's 100% right. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, 100%, mate.
End of the day, I mean, we just want a new dawn, we want a new era, a new start. But if we get relegated, guys, we're never going to get out again. We're not going back up in the Premier League for a long, long time. So we need to stay in the Premier League this season and it's over. But
John, I think you're 55 minutes too late into the conversation now, mind. You've missed all that.
I know. I was with Sav. I did a stream with Sav. So, yeah, sad.
Hope she's okay. So, yeah, just to finish off on the stream, it's Mike Ashley or Amanda Staveley and PCP and the Rubens. There's no comparison there at all. The guy's done okay. He's not let us drop as far as Sunderland at all into League One. But we need
I think we've lost Dom.
I think we have.
Dom, hello?
You see me? Okay.
Sorry. I do apologise. I don't know what happened there. Just completely lost connection. I'm not even asking. I'm not even asking. So, yeah, anyway, Pride coming to Newcastle soon, which is the UK Pride, which is always a good debacle and it's great to watch. But like I said earlier on, we need this guy out, and that is literally.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's always a good laugh. It's always a good laugh. Alan Shearer's boots and shirt and his captain's armband went for £30,000. So great effort to everyone who and whoever got the winning ticket to that. I think you should send it my way. That's about it, fellas. Honestly, we've had a good stream today, other than the last 2 minutes.
It's been good. Usual.
Yeah, but thanks very much, guys, for coming on and get you on next week. What I would like to say is I'm doing for the food bank a 24-hour stream to raise money for the food bank, and I may have possibly 2 very special guests. I can tell you one at the moment, which will be Warren Barton, which will be joining me on that 24-hour show. So he's also agreed to me that he would be giving a giveaway at He's not told me yet, but he said he will give something to the cause and to raise money also. So I will let you know in due course, and thanks very much, guys.
You all right? Any brother?
Yeah.
So
See ya.
good night. God bless.
Good night.
See you.
Bye.
No.
Well, thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for watching on. That's all I need to say, really. It's been a good stream. I may have jumped out at the last minute. Sorry, it's all down to technology. But thanks very much to everyone coming on, and thanks very much to Kev from the Big Toon Chat. Also, the Geordie Talk with Stephen. Holly, who does many other channels as well. They've all been brilliant. Whoever else has been on my channel, they've all been brilliant too. So thanks so much, guys. Please like, subscribe, and good night. Yeah, Rajis.
This isn't just about me.
It's not just about me.
Or me.
This is about you and me.
This is about us.
This is about everyone we connect with.
Everyone who makes our club.
Everyone who makes our community.
This is about celebrating what makes every one of us different.
Because that's what makes us united.
United as one.
United as one.
United as one.
Think before you tweet.
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 Please just think before you tweet.
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 Think before you tweet. Think before you tweet.